And so ends the 8th age of gaming. The era of returning heroes Kratos, Doomguy, and Geralt of Rivia. The one that created sprawling worlds, innovative gameplay designs, and showed us all a glimpse of the gaming world that is yet to be.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Let us now journey back to that ancient time of 2012 to relive the greatest achievements the 8th generation brought to us all. Hey, do you remember that wonderful time when CD Projekt Red was considered to be one of the best gaming companies around? Good times. Not so long ago, the sun was shining brightly on CD Projekt Red and its generation-defining game, The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. The third entry into the franchise expanded upon everything that made it great to begin with. It had a sprawling map that really felt like a lived-in world, in a way few games had before. So much about this game screamed, the next generation of gaming has arrived.
Should have expected as much.
That really proved to be correct too, because games ranging from Assassin's Creed Odyssey to Ghost of Tsushima all obviously took inspiration from Geralt's journey to save Ciri. This game, absolutely exceeding its hype, built CD Projekt Red into every gamer's favorite company. Nothing lasts forever, I guess. It's hard to think that there was actually a world before Fortnite. This game caught fire the way every single game wants to catch fire.
Thor, he's back. That kid on the TV.
It is a sensation for hardcore gamers, casual gamers, Twitch streamers, and people who just like Marvel movies and Star Wars. Not too long ago, Battle Royale games like Fortnite were few and far between. The game PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the one that deserves a lot of Fortnite's credit. PUBG was the one that popularized the Battle Royale genre, leading to intense competition that was surprisingly similar to the last man standing nature of the game. While PUBG is still a raging success and a great game that changed things forever, ultimately, Fortnite would be the one to supplant PUBG as the game most associated with the Battle Royale craze. Once Thor literally played Fortnite in Avengers Endgame, I think it was decided. The less said about Nintendo's early 8th gen embarrassment, the Wii U, the better.
We don't do that here.
Luckily, they bounced back pretty hard. The Nintendo Switch, unlike the Wii U, represents everything that's great about Nintendo. The unique console features the motion controls, the ability to play it handheld like the Game Boy line, and even let you use a normal controller like every other console. Add to that some of the greatest games they've ever produced like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and you have a true powerhouse. In 20 years, people will definitely look back on the Switch days with the same nostalgia reserved for the N64 and Super Nintendo. Man, that sentence made me feel old. Got no one to blame that on but myself. There may not be a single game that has ever written a blank check of pure hype like No Man's Sky did. It showed off the idea of a giant universe filled with procedurally generated worlds with infinite variations on plant life, aliens, and adventure. It was basically going to be a great big Minecraft through the stars. Unfortunately, it really wasn't that when it came out. The gameplay turned out to be very repetitive and nowhere near the kind of experience they were hyping up. It was considered to be one of the generation's biggest failures and a blueprint of how not to market a game. That is, until it wasn't. You see, instead of giving up on the dream of No Man's Sky, the developers went to work rebuilding the game for their passionate fans. Today, it stands as one of the most technically impressive feats of the 8th generation. As much as big AAA games like Red Dead Redemption 2 blew gamers away in the 8th gen, I think the indie gamers may have actually succeeded in making better games. The indie gaming boom seemed like a never-ending parade of surprising concepts, incredible art design, and heartfelt stories.
This is God's own country.
Who can forget Celeste taking us up a mountain filled with pitch-perfect 2D platforming and a beautiful story about overcoming mental health struggles? Then there's The Outer Wilds that played like an intergalactic Groundhog Day, which had you solving complex archaeological puzzles to save your dying universe. Then there's Cuphead, which, you know what, just look at the clip. I mean, what more do I need to say? Stardew Valley's one-person design crew, Dead Cells' randomized Metroidvania action, Untitled Goose Game's sheer insanity, Hollow Knight's hand-drawn wonder, Undertale's bizarre gameplay, and so many more that I just don't have time to mention. I'm looking forward to all the expensive-looking gaming goodness that's ahead of me, but to be perfectly honest, I think I'm now looking forward to all the ridiculous indie games even more. I don't know any franchise that has received quite the response the Shadow of Mordor games have. A good deal of the game is a C+ experience that's perfectly fine, but not something you'd really remember. The only thing is that it had one A+ idea that may have been the single best innovation of the 8th generation. The Nemesis System crafted for each player their own rogues gallery of interesting orc bad guys. The sheer amount of things you could do with these orcs, from hunting them down to taking over their minds, to driving them insane, to even making them your own personal warlord, are breathtaking. Honestly, I avoided the main campaign for weeks as I just fought through my own fascinating stories with my arch enemies that literally no other gamer had. This generation had a ton of great shooters, but to me, none of them compared to the comeback of the game that started it all, Doom. The new Doom franchise totally flipped the script on shooters of both first and third person that would have you hide behind cover to pick careful shots or regain health. In Doom, if you want to regain health, you have to get up in a demon's face and rip it to pieces with your bare hands to get your HP back. This frenetic gameplay, scored with death metal excellence by Mick Gordon, made Doom exactly what you want it to be. A brutal, demon-ripping beast of a game that made you feel like the ultimate Doomslayer. Okay, so how are movie studios still struggling to make good video game cinema when video games are making fantastic cinematic experiences of their own? I mean, God of War may be the best action movie that I've ever played. Taking inspiration from films like Birdman, God of War presents itself as one continuous experience, leading Kratos through a world of Norse mythology to spread his wife's ashes with his son Atreus. It is a beautiful, brutal story that evolves Kratos far beyond the god-slaying warlord of his past, without sugarcoating what an absolute monster he was in his Greek god days. Kratos learns to be a true father as he learns to make peace with his bloody past in one of the best directed video game experiences I have ever played. Hollywood, if you want to make the best video game movie ever made, just do God of War and don't change a thing. Thank me at the Oscars. Well, you should probably thank Cory Barlog first. But then you can thank me. Virtual reality is the snake oil of the gaming industry. Companies have been trying to peddle their weak VR technology for decades, without any games actually living up to the promise of what virtual reality could be. That is, until Half-Life Alyx totally changed everything. Valve's long-awaited return to the Half-Life universe is a terrifying display of just how good VR has the potential to be. The fact that your actual fingers become the controller, allowing you to manipulate objects like you would in the real world, is one of the most gratifying experiences you can have while playing a game. Then it gives you a complete existential crisis when you take the rig off and realize how thin the barrier between reality and fantasy is likely to become in the decades ahead, leading to the true realization that one day there might not be a barrier at all. Still, it's a really fun game and you should totally check it out if you have the spare $1,000 to drop. Oh, CyberPunk 2077. You promised to be the game of a generation, and boy did you deliver. Just not exactly in the way we thought you would. The launch of CyberPunk revealed that this much-hyped game was victim to literally all of the mistakes every other company had made during the 8th generation. Did they hype up systems that they couldn't possibly deliver on, like No Man's Sky? Yes, they did. Did they release a broken game expecting fans to wait for patches without a complaint, like Fallout 76? Big time. Did they crunch their poor, overworked employees to the point of madness, like Anthem? Possibly even worse. Yes, CyberPunk was all of the mistakes and controversies the 8th generation was known for. Except for the loot boxes, I guess. The thing is, it also delivered on producing a game that shows the promise the next generation offers. When it wasn't being a glitchy mess, Night City is a neon dreamland of ray tracing, impeccable world design, and truly memorable character interactions. If they had just delayed it until it was actually playable, I think CD Projekt Red would have had another Witcher 3 on their hands. Corpos are gonna do what corpos are gonna do. So 9th generation, no pressure at all. You just have to be more epic than God of War, more thrilling than Doom, and more groundbreaking than No Man's Sky. No big deal.